Welcome to an Introduction to Public Speaking workshop as part of the Subaru Leadership Awards. Please have a pen and paper ready to make some notes. At the end of this session, you'll gain points towards the Leadership Award you're working on. So let's have a look at the session aims. So we're going to explore barriers in public speaking, look at some techniques to overcome these barriers, some examples of what not to do, and have a look at public speaking at its best. We're going to have a think about what barriers you might come across when public speaking. Take 20 seconds to write down any barriers you can think of that might make public speaking difficult. We're going to have a look at some examples of barriers that you might have come up with. So nerves is the first one. Really common this. Everyone gets it, and there's lots of ways to manage it and overcome it. Technical problems. You might be using a computer, you might have some sound issues or lighting issues. A difficult audience. Again, this can be quite common. They might not be very engaged, not listening, or even talking over you. And finally, venue issues. Perhaps your speech is outside, and if you're in the UK, it might well be raining. We're going to have a look at some ways to overcome these barriers now. We're going to be using the rules of three. Now, using threes is a great way of helping you remember it. The first three we're going to look at are 3 deep breaths. Take a moment to take 3 deep breaths and see how this makes you feel. Hopefully that made you feel calm, collected and ready to go, exactly how you'd want to feel before delivering a speech. So make sure you take the time to do 3 deep breaths before you begin. The next rule of 3 we're going to look at are the 3 Ps. Plant. This is about your position. Feel comfortable where you're standing and plant yourself. Project. Ensure that your voice is projected to the back wall of the room. Even if the first 3 rows are filled up, you still need to ensure that you project your voice so everyone can hear you. And finally, passion. Get your passion across in your speech. You can do this by ensuring your speech is slightly animated, using your tone of voice, making sure you're not monotone or rigid. If you believe in your speech, your audience will believe in you. And the last rule of 3 we're going to look at are the 3 Ts. These are tell them, tell them, tell them. The first tell them is you're going to just tell them what you're going to talk about. A brief outline can just be the first sentence outlining what you're going to talk about. Then you will tell them the information. This will be the bulk of your speech. And finally, a short review of what you've covered. Lots of people only remember the beginning and the end of a speech. Using this structure will help your audience to remember all your key points. So to recap, we've just looked at using threes. The first one was the 3 breaths to prepare yourself, followed by the 3 Ps, plant, project and passion. Get into your position, feel comfortable, project your voice and get your passion across in your speech. And finally, we looked at the 3 Ts, tell them, tell them, tell them. A great way to structure your speech and to ensure that your key points come across. The next thing we're going to look at is also very important in public speaking, which is eye contact. Now I'd like you to take a few seconds to have a think about and write down why you think eye contact is important in public speaking. So why is eye contact important? Here are a few examples that we've come up with. You may have the same or you may have come up with more, which is great. So eye contact helps you to engage with your audience. It keeps them interested and it makes them feel a part of your speech. All really key things to remember when doing public speaking. If you'd like to develop this further, we actually have an exercise in our follow-on public speaking workshop that you can attend. So what happens when you don't know about these skills or don't know how to use them? Here are a few video clips which clearly demonstrate what not to do when giving a speech. Thinking about the skills we've covered so far, take some time to notice and write down where you think it's not going so well.
Hi, I'm Emily Johnson, and I'm going to be talking about the different areas in the marketing industry. So the first area that I want to talk about is the direct marketer, which is like a position usually in a company such as Sony or Nike. For example, they'll have like a product manager who wants to create a concept of the product that they're trying to sell.
So the Excel Center, my presentation is on the Excel Center. It's the Center of Excellence in Student Leadership. They do a lot of things like they have a public speaking lab, and they
And my project is on fish philosophy. Loving what you do. It is fashionable today to believe that we should not settle for anything less than doing what we love. Write poetry, travel the world on a sailboat, paint, do whatever you love, and money will follow. We tell ourselves that life is too short to spend our working hours doing anything less than ideal, and we continue our search for the perfect place.
So what did you notice? Well, clearly they weren't very prepared, reading straight out of a book. There was no evidence of the 3 Ps. Planting, they were leaning over a lectern and fiddling with hair. Project, there was no voice projection and talking far too fast, and clearly no signs of passion. And there was very little eye contact throughout any of the speeches. Taking all this into account, none of the speeches were particularly engaging or inspiring. So here are a few key points to remember to help you on your way to delivering a great speech. Firstly, know your subject and your speech. This will give you confidence and get your passion across. Secondly, know your audience and your space. Is your speech appropriate for the audience? Check that your content and the language of the speech is okay. And visit the space to familiarise yourself with it. And finally, focus on your message. What are you trying to get across? Is it to entertain, to educate, to inspire, or to motivate? Don't worry if you make a mistake through the speech. Chances are no one will notice except you, so just keep going. This next video, I hope, will encourage and inspire you to put all the techniques and skills into practice and have a go yourself at public speaking.
All my life, I've been deathly afraid of 2 things: public speaking and spiders. The idea of public speaking horrified me to such an extent that if a professor ever gave one of my classes the option of jumping into a pool filled with venomous water spiders in place of giving a speech, I'd be the first one with my swimming trunks on. But somewhere along the way, I realized something. I realized I couldn't continue to allow this fear to consume me. I started researching presentation techniques such as looking just above the eye line of the spectators, deep breathing exercises, and imagining the entire audience is naked. I won't tell you which one of those strategies I'm using today, but I will say you all look really good out there, especially my girlfriend. In a matter of 2 months, I went from sweating like a madman upon addressing a group of 20 students to conducting persuasive speeches to city councils throughout LA to this. From that moment on, I realized fear is nothing more than a glass barrier waiting to be shattered, because it's fear that sets limitations, that makes us complacent, that justifies excuses, that does not allow us to be extraordinary. Once you shatter that barrier, there's nothing that can stop you. And even though I appear before you today with sweaty palms, perhaps a slight tremor in my discourse, there's no way I'd take a pool of spiders over this.
The student in that video was terrified of public speaking, and now he's running workshops in America to help others overcome their fears. I hope you noticed in that video a lot of the techniques and skills that we've covered today, and with a little preparation and practice, you can end up more confident and on your way to doing a great speech. At the end of every workshop, we do a review. This is a way of recapping what we've just been over and also having a think about how you can use it in the future. So what have we just covered? We've looked at barriers and ways of overcoming them. We've also looked at rules of 3. 3 deep breaths, the 3 P's, plant, project and passion, and the 3 T's, tell them, tell them, tell them. We've looked at eye contact and key points to remember. Know your subject, know your audience, and know your message. What for? Why have we done this? This is to give you an introduction into public speaking and a few basic skills to take away with to help you with public speaking. And what now? If you'd like to develop this further, we have a follow-on public speaking workshop where you can put all the skills into practice. Now that you've watched this video, here are your next steps to complete the workshop and to get your points. You will need to complete the quiz underneath this video, fill in the workshop log in your handbook, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at reps@bournemouth.ac.uk. Thank you for watching.